Welcome to our amazing journey. We are Greg and Julie and we got our cats Nelly and Finn with us on our 33-foot sailing boat El Burro. Get ready for a trip filled with beautiful sunsets, clear blue waters and the exciting freedom of life at sea. Our YouTube series is an invitation for you to see the world from our perspective, sharing both the fun and challenges of living without being tied to the land. El Burro is more than just a boat, it's our floating home and we want you to be part of our sea-loving family. Subscribe, like and hit the bell to stay updated on our latest travels. Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into the story behind one of the most iconic islands in the world, Ibiza. I know, when most people think of Ibiza, they think of epic parties, beach clubs and endless sunshine. But the history of this island is just as fascinating as its nightlife, and its name has evolved over thousands of years. First things first, let's talk about the name Ibiza. Where did it come from? Well, let's rewind time way back to 654 before Christ. The first settlers were the Phoenicians who named it Ibosim. The name was in honor of their god Bes, who was the god of music and dance. I mean, come on, even back then Ibiza had a thing for music. The Phoenicians were expert sailors and Ibiza was a perfect stop for them because of its location in the Mediterranean. They planted the roots of the island story, but they weren't the only ones. Next came the Romans. The Romans conquered the island and renamed it Ebussus. Now, in Roman times, this wasn't exactly a party island, but more of a strategic hub for trade. But even back then, the island was already a melting pot of cultures. Fast forward a few centuries, and we've got the Moors, who took over the island around the 9th century. They brought a lot of influence, including the name Ibiza. Now, you can still see a lot of traces of their architecture and culture all over the island, especially in Dalt Vila. This is the old fortified part of the city, and believe me, it's one of the best places to get lost in history. Then, in the 13th century, Ibiza was reclaimed by the Spanish during the Reconquista. That's when the name Ibiza, as we know it today, really stuck. So, from the Phoenicians, to the Romans, to the Moors, to the Spanish, this tiny island has actually seen a lot of history. It's crazy to think about how many different cultures have called Ibiza home. So I hope you enjoyed learning about the history of Ibiza. Now, I hope you enjoy the rest of the movie. We found ourselves anchored at Talamanca. We took the dinghy and headed to shore ready for a day of exploring. Once we tied off the dinghy, first things first, we dropped off the trash, cleared our hands and looked up at what we came to see. And there it was, Dalt Vila. This ancient fortress on the hill has been looking over the Mediterranean for centuries. It's not just a historical landmark, it's alive, buzzing with locals and visitors alike. Built way back in the 1500s, it was designed to keep pirates and invaders at bay. At the top the view hit us. All of Ibiza stretched out below, the port full of boats and the Mediterranean just going on forever. We made our way to the Cathedral of Santa Maria. It's quiet, simple and beautiful in its own way. You can feel the history here, like the walls themselves have a story to tell. We walked through many narrow cobbled streets. Every corner had something different. A piece of history, a little shop, a musician playing down an alley. Dalt Vila feels like a place from another time, but it's still very much alive. We wrapped up our day with a stop at Daruma Ramen, a small cozy spot that felt perfect after a day of exploring. The food was amazing and it was a perfect end to our little adventure. Then we headed back to the dinghy. It's definitely a place you would visit again. We were moored in the marina of Santa Eulalia del Rio, and before heading out, there's a bit of routine we always follow. First, a good rinse with fresh water. Salt and sand tend to build up over time, so we're careful to wash down the deck whenever we have the chance. And of course, we make the most of having water here to top up our jerry cans, the outdoor shower and our main tank. Once that's all set, we check out of the marina, start the engine and head out. Pretty much right away we were able to hoist the sails, which always feels like the true beginning of a trip. Here's Greg securing the boom with a preventer line. It's a key step to avoid accidental jibes, which can be dangerous and put stress on the rigging. We had some larger waves following us from behind, so we popped the washboard into the companionway to keep the cabin nice and dry. Waves from the back aren't so bad, the boat just kind of surfs along, rolling with them. Then it is time to start thinking about anchoring. Since our anchor chain is a bit rusty and tends to get stuck in the anchor locker, we prepare it ahead of time just to be safe. Once we find a sandy spot, we lower the anchor and set an anchor alarm on our phone. We always back up a bit to make sure the anchor is dug in, though you can't see that part here. And then it's time to kick back and enjoy the view. We took a hike near Cala St. Vincent, on the east side of the island, a beautiful spot with some incredible views. I'll just leave you to it now, enjoy the scenery. we were anchored at Beneras, and after a refreshing swim it was time to head out. Conditions were just right, so we decided to hoist the sail directly from anchor and leave without using the engine. The mountains around us looked almost magical, with a light mist hanging over them, adding to the atmosphere. As we set off, Greg rigged up the spinnaker pole to stabilize the genoa and keep it open. This pole is especially handy in downwind condition and lighter winds, keeping the headsail steady and full. Then we decided to go one step further and hoist the parasailer. This is a special kind of downwind sail, a bit like a spinnaker but with a twist. It has a built-in wing that adds both lift and stability. The parasailer is actually pretty easy to handle, and with it we managed to reach a smooth 6 knots. When we finally arrived at our anchorage in Sant Antoni de Portmany, it was time to start the engine and bring down the parasailer. Anchoring wasn't smooth on the first try, our anchor didn't hold, but after a few attempts we were all set. And then, time to relax once again. During our time at Sant Antoni, we decided to switch things up a bit and rent some buggies. We teamed up with 2 other sailing couples for the day, and let me tell you, it was an absolute blast. Once we ventured onto the off-road trails, the real fun began. Dust flew everywhere as we bounced around, and the lava was contagious as we kicked up clouds of dirt behind us. It felt like we were on a true adventure. After a day filled with excitement, we wrapped things up back on our boat. We fired up the grill for a barbecue. It was the perfect way to end our adventure together. We were anchored in a bay together with Caitlin and Ben from Sailing Donna and decided to go on some cave exploring. Ben on his paddleboard, the rest of us in the dinghy. The next day we decided to anchor near Vedrà. Vedrà is one of Ibiza's most breathtaking sights. This stunning rocky island rises dramatically from the sea. Situated off the southwestern coast of Ibiza, Vedrà towers 413 meters high. People say all sorts of things about this place. Some claim it's the remains of Atlantis, while others believe it's a magical spot full of mystical energy. As we sailed by, we didn't quite feel that magic for ourselves, but it's still hard to deny the stunning views. Once anchored, we ventured to Sa Pedrera de Calador. Sa Pedrera has a fascinating history too. It used to be a quarry where stone was extracted for local buildings. You can still see remnants from that time, and it's interesting to think about how this place has transformed from a working site to a peaceful retreat. After one night near Vedrà, we headed back to Sant Antoni, with Caitlin and Ben from Donna alongside us. See you next time, and thanks for watching!